This episode of Watch Out for Fireballs is brought to you by our patrons, specifically our patron Joe Martin. If you would like to patronize us and support us, head on over to patreon.com/Duckfeed.tv. Thank you. My name is Gary Butterfield.
My name is Cole Ross.
And you're listening to Watch Out for Fireballs. It is a Games Club podcast.
And this week we are talking about The Magic Circle, which is an adventure game developed and published by Question for the PC, PS4, and Xbox One in 2015.
Yeah. Thank goodness we're not doing sketches anymore, because what kind of insular meta navel-gazing thing would we come up with?
It would probably be
about being trapped in a podcast.
Probably be a lot. It'd be like the Max Payne one. Yeah.
Yep. Except longer. This episode is executive produced by Joe Martin.
Thank you, Joe.
Really appreciate it. This is a game I had some experience with. We've covered this on Check It Out, Comrade.
Mm-hmm.
I was happy to revisit, even though I do have some kind of mixed feelings about it.
Mm-hmm.
The basic gist is you play a QA tester who is dropped into an incomplete game as its beleaguered developers try to get a demo ready for E4, the big expo.
Yes, one better than E3. And the game within the game, kind of in the fiction here, it is this remake of a famous online text adventure called The Magic Circle, developed by kind of a Richard Garriott XP kind of guy,
Yes.
washed up control freak named Ish.
Yes. Don't leave everything you know about normal names at the door.
We're kind of in the Kojima zone when it comes to names. Not so much in being like, dumb or anything, just being very ham-handed. They are named what they are. Ishmael for being, a long-winded narrator. Gilder for being, let's just put gold on everything. Let's just spend all the time gilding them lilies, buddy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The mechanics of this game are both kind of slight and varied.
Yes.
None of them are particularly deep, but you do go through a bunch of different kind of phases through it. So this section of the episode will be a little shorter. The majority of what happens is in the story, but it's a weird thing where there are a lot of like story generalities.
Yeah.
To this, like, there's a lot of like. This is such a weird game because it feels like it ticks a lot of boxes for me, and I should really love it. It's about too many things, and I hate all these people. I can't. I hate all these characters. I think they're all the fucking worst, and it's about too many things.
Yeah.
It is way like there's not enough narrative focus. So even the story part of this will be a little bit tricky because it's like, oh, they decided to include, the detail that the Richard Garriott figure was orgy obsessed, polyamorous guy.
Yeah.
For why though?
I don't
for to what end?
I don't know.
Just throwing that in there.
I don't that beat doesn't necessarily resolve. Like I never found the audio log where we find out how it goes. Like that character is still alive. So
yeah, orgy.wave. I kept trying to find in the files. I just couldn't find like squelching dot.
Yeah.
Mpreg, it just didn't work.
No, I would agree. There's it's kind of scattershot. While also, I think I have this note later. I think that there is a certain lack of subtlety to this.
Everything is very loud.
Yeah. And so it's kind of funny because like you can tell what they're saying, but not what point it is all kind of going toward, ultimately kind of culminating in this climactic monologue that is, I think, you're meant to think this guy is wrong and he's a dick, but I'm not sure how much the developers don't actually believe what the words they're putting into his mouth. Just because the stuff leading up to it has gotten a little, just it's real muddled, right?
There's also a nihilism to it.
Yeah.
Where like nobody is right.
Yes.
In this thing, and that was my big sticking point when I played it for Check Out Comrade, and found it. I ended up finding kind of more things that kind of frustrated me about it on Revisit, but that was my big takeaway, and it's still kind of part of it. Like, there's nobody to root for. None of these people are right.
Right.
If there's one underlying message to all the themes, it's just like making games is hard.
Yeah.
And like,
I believe that.
I follow people on Twitter. Like, I don't, I don't, that's okay. Like, I don't, I know, but it doesn't really change the experience of playing the game.
Yeah. You're kind of going through, and when you talk about none of the characters being likable, it's one of those things where like, I don't need to have likable characters in a narrative, like It's Always Sunny. It's fine. The thing is, each of them is an archetype and is an advocate for a very extreme notion of what a game ought to be, whether it ought to be an expression of story, whether it ought to be an expression of mechanics, or whether it ought to be an expression of what the fans want. And I don't know if this is like some Ken Levine stuff going on here where we just present the extremes and say, hey, the truth, logically has to be somewhere in the middle. Like, I don't know. None of them make a very compelling case for their viewpoint. Additionally, there is no tab where like you could see where it could hit, right?
Yes. Yeah.
Where they would intersect. Yeah.
To clarify, like I also don't need likable characters. Mm-hmm. I do need characters that aren't actively repulsive. Mm-hmm. To me, I kind of hate all these people. Like, it's not just that there's nobody to root for.
Yeah.
Like, they're not very fun to hate.
And
that's a real thing. Like, that can work. You can have, your villain protagonist or whatever. Like, there's delicious evil or delicious shittiness, or, it's always sunny, like funny shittiness. Mm-hmm. And there are some funny jokes in this game. Mm-hmm. But I kept getting the sense that I don't think it's quite as funny as it's supposed to be.
Yeah.
I don't find, their individual beats I think are pretty funny. Mm-hmm. But each of these individual characters that I did not find like knee slapping amusing.
Yeah. And each of the characters gets, well, I mean, at least two of the characters gets, they get a humanizing kind of element. Like, like this is something that is kind of tragic about the situation that they're in, and we'll talk about those as they kind of come about. They don't necessarily have much of anything to do with kind of any moral that would come from this. Like, it doesn't have very much to do with the presentation, other than like kind of maybe acting as an excuse slightly for why they act the way that they act.
It doesn't tie into it doesn't tie into the things this game is about, which is already too many things.
Yeah. I'm coming down on this. We're coming in hot saying why this in particular doesn't work for us. I don't think this is an unfun game to play. I actually think that this is a really good kind of compromise between what would derisively be called a walking simulator and something more mechanical. Like, I like reprogramming stuff. I think that is cool. I like that, like, they just come out and say, like, yeah, no solution is too messy for what you're going to do because we give you the ability to do it. If it works, it works. Right. I think that is cool and good. It's just, I wish that there was, kind of a heart to it. When there is not an apparent heart to me.
Yeah. And even I would say even the kind of programmatic gameplay stuff is weirdly clunky. Mm-hmm. Like in terms of how it actually controls. Yeah. Like how it actually works to play. Mm-hmm. So the way this like kind of takes place to you is it's first person. You're navigating the game, and your primary ability allows you to like suck up life and then put it on the ground, which allows you to trap enemies and objects in the game, which then you can then change their properties.
Right.
You can use this life mechanic, this juice, to restore ghosted objects within the game world. So they'll appear as kind of a shimmering outline. And you can, when you have an enemy trapped in this form, you change the way it moves, its attacks, who its allies are, who its enemies are, its special abilities, etc.
Yes. You can determine if it can be picked up or not.
Yes.
Yeah.
And these are largely Vancian.
Right.
Certain actions like the hero, moving by ground, attacking by melee, you can do as many times as you want. Other things are more specialized. So like very early on, you find a rock, it's fireproof because rocks don't set on fire. You can steal that property and have it in your inventory to add to something else later.
Yeah. So a big part of the game is going to be going and finding enemies or objects in the world that you can harvest aspects from. Right. To grab these words to put together, once this kind of opens up into a sandbox where you can go anywhere in the world that is complete here, your goal is to put together something that can kill a flying enemy. Can kill like the avatar, the camera avatar for one of the developers who's kind of like lording over the portal to the end game.
Yes. Yeah, that's kind of your final move. And there's a lot of different ways to do this, as you mentioned, like the freedom of puzzle solving in this is cool.
Yes.
This resource you have is called life, that you use to power things up and trap things. This is drawn from checkpoints. This should never have been a limited resource.
Agreed.
It's one of the most time taxy things I've played in a game.
Yeah. It's either time taxi or menu taxi, because you can just go into your map.
Menu taxi. Choose your destination.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
No, you can go into your map and warp to any of these checkpoints, but then I guess you have to walk back to wherever you were going to use the life. So
yeah. And there's no advantage to it being like the advantage to it being limited is that you can find upgrades.
Yeah.
For it. But it's like, what, you talked about the straddle the line between walking sim and game. Some of the, concessions to it being a game are pretty detrimental. This being one of them, I think.
Yeah.
Like, this gives you a meaningful upgrade when you find for exploring the world, but the upgrade is avoiding tedium that shouldn't have been in the game in the first place.
Yeah. There's also stuff to make it a little bit more gamey. Like when you go and you find kind of an anomalous object that has an audio log in it, you get a little stat upgrade that you can apply to one of your pets that you have going around. I never really found a use for that because death doesn't really matter for you or for anything under your command. You just use life to bring it back. So I never needed one to be, the be all end all of strength or resilience because, I had numbers, right? And maybe that's just a strategy, but it was a whole system that I just kind of, let me get past you there, sidled around.
Making a really cool Jugadillo in this game is not very rewarding.
Right.
So if you die, you just spawn at the nearest checkpoint. As a ghost, and you come back to life by drawing life. If your pets die, you just stick life in them, and you can just go get unlimited amounts of life from these checkpoints. So it's very tasky.
Yeah.
There are a couple puzzles that involve moving around as a ghost. If you're a ghost, then ghosted surfaces are solid. This is a clever idea.
Yep.
It kind of breaks the metaphor. It doesn't make sense for things that are deleted from the game to be able to interact with each other.
Right.
But that's kind of the idea.
Yeah.
And the main thing you're doing all of this mechanical stuff for is in service of this story, and in really direct tie. Like, as you mentioned, you get stat upgrades for listening to an audio log. They really, and then the more audio logs you listen to, the more the end game, the more freedom you have in the end game. They really want to tie these things together, which is admirable.
Right.
The point of doing this is to witness these interactions between these three figures in the studio who all represent huge extremes of the worst kind of game developer you can be.
Yes. So we can talk about these three main characters in broad strokes here. One that you're going to spend the most time with is Ish Gilder. He is the Richard Garriott type, washed up, control obsessed. You know,
It sounds like you said a Richard Garrio type, like a photograph. Like hello,
it can only be developed in space.
yes. Give me alkanized silver.
But this is the voiced very well by James Urbaniak. Kind of just doing the Dr. Venture voice, which I'm down for. That's fine. And yeah, like he, you know, his kind of establishing moment, you know, he refers to himself as the Star Father. Like, you know, he developed this game way back in the day and has just kind of been coasting on it. Like, you go through, you pick up a sword, but in order to keep you from killing his characters, he takes the sword away from you, kind of establishing this as a direct combat free game. So directly wresting control away from you.
Yeah, specifically, you know, if the developer has all control, there shouldn't be violence because he's trying to tell a story.
Yes.
I think this is head and shoulders the best voice performance.
Yeah.
In the game. I find all the rest of them too much. Honestly, even, you know, when they're voice actors who I like.
Yes.
You know, I think James Urbaniak is the only one who's really bringing any degree of kind of subtlety or like pathos to this.
Yeah.
You know, there's some kind of like good heartbreaking lines that he delivers because Sad Dr. Venture is really good. The lead designer of the studio is Evelyn Mays. Her name is Mays because she is interested in mechanics.
Right.
And she is focused on multiplayer and combat and good gaming feels and thinks story is dumb.
Yeah.
And shouldn't have stories.
Skip this bullshit. Yeah.
Really, in the lore, you know, she got hired because she figured out how to kill people in the original text mud and did a raid and killed everybody.
Right.
No reason. These people hate each other.
Yep.
And there's this continuing subplot of James Urbaniak owning her likeness rights and her likeness rights getting passed around in a way that made me feel like I was having a fucking stroke. Like, what does this mean?
Yeah.
Why you've been doing this for 10 years? Like over this? Like, what the fuck is happening? She's also the voice performance. So it's Eva Ladere, who did Sheva in RE5. She's like this like brassy, angry gamer girl.
Yes.
And, you know, I'm way into girls gaming. I got no problem with that. I think that I don't want a brassy gamer of any gender. Like it's kind of like, I call these my frags and slags. These are all my defeated opponents. It's the gallery of the damned.
Yeah.
Like, fuck off, man. Like, go to hell, Evelyn Mays.
Yeah. Yeah. You know, she was almost like directed to be kind of this stereotype, and also like kind of a problem that I have with Maze and with Coda. Neither of them feel like they are talking to anybody when they are talking to each other.
No,
you know, like it kind of feels like they're monologuing at each other, and it kind of seems like Ish is the only person who is like listening and reacting. I don't know if that was because of the way that they recorded everything. I don't know if it's because, well, I mean, like I know Ashley Birch can give a good voice performance. Life is Strange, Horizon Zero Dawn, like she can be very good. But everything is very declarative when it comes out of Maze and Coda's mouths.
Yeah, and that could be not necessarily talent. It could be direction.
Yes.
You know, like we gotta play this for the cheap seats because no one's gonna get it,
right?
Unless you're just kind of like stating themes out loud,
right?
You mentioned Ashley Birch, and my girl's name is Coda, who is the new addition that kind of sets things in motion. She's the community manager, and she's a fan of the original game. And fans out to the Starfather, and there's a drop subplot of him possibly perving on her, but actually adopting her as a surrogate daughter, and there's no real resolution or anything for that.
No.
We spent a lot of time on it though.
Yeah.
So
it is part of the, you know, part of the kind of broad, I mean, spoilers for all of this because it's a story-based game. Part of the thing that's revealed about her is that she is a bigger fan of the Magic Circle than she is of Ish.
Oh, yeah. She's also outright villainous. She threatens to kill the developer of the game. Yeah. And is, implied to be, her cohort are implied to have sent him death threats before. So there is a little bit of, developer inside baseball. Like, we'll talk about the development of this game, but it feels like it's made with some grudges against all three of these kind of factions.
Right.
The most sympathetic presented to us is the fourth one, World Pro.
Yes, the old pro. This is an AI that has somehow become sentient. Kind of the most magical elements of this of this experience. This is a scrapped version of the game's protagonist who has gained sentience and wants to work with you to escape. He views the previous three characters we talked about, Ish, Maze, and Coda, as gods who have failed him and have failed the game. And so he kind of like gives you hacker tools in order to go about and do things that he cannot do. This is a very large performance. This is Stephen Russell, who was the voice of Garrett from Thief. And you know, it's just real like gruff and speaking in some of the most direct metaphor I've ever heard.
Yeah, yeah. And also just yeah, it's big. That's a good way to put it.
Yeah.
You know, like I love Garrett from Thief. You know, but this is just, it's a lot.
Yeah.
You know, lots of old man at the bar
Yes.
energy.
Yeah. Yeah, old
Like
man
Nick
at the end of the
Fury.
bar, monopolizing whoever sits next to him. That's the energy that is present here.
Yeah, long-winded. When you're going through, you're looking out for these commentary nodes, which are audio logs hidden in these anomalous objects. We mentioned those give you stat ups for your pets as well. And then change logs, which feature text conversations with the other members of the team, who also, you know, they're less outsized, but they're also dysfunctional.
Yes.
There's a lot of kind of inside baseball complaining about game dev stuff like, oh, you know, it's not that hard. You just put in the object, then add the mesh, and then add the property. You know, if you do it in the wrong order, it doesn't work, et cetera, et cetera.
Yeah. Yeah. And, you know, old design jokes like, oh, the player never looks up, that kind of thing.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Kind of cute.
Yeah. If you know this stuff, you know what you're looking for. You'll recognize it. So the dialogue can be entertaining, but as I mentioned before, you know, there is a real lack of subtlety to this. It hits its points very hard and pulls in a lot of directions at once, to the point where when it hits a climax, it's hard to know who you are. What you are to believe is genuinely coming out of the developer's mouth.
Yeah. Yeah. And it does feel, you know, as you mentioned, Ken Levine. In some ways, like just, you know, here are all the extremes nobody would align themselves with. Doesn't that make the middle seem appealing? Right. One of the things I think is a real win for this is the visual representation.
Definitely.
Of it. I think this is really cool. You know, the first kind of part of the game is you in this fantasy mode that's presented as black and white sketches because it's unfinished. This is really striking. And then the old version of the game, which was a sci-fi game, which looks like System Shock 1.
Yes.
You know, has this like pixel over it, and it looks really, really clever and lo-fi, but you're still moving, you know, at regular frames per second, and you and your energy are still hi-fi, you know, when you shoot life into things or things you bring into that world.
Yeah.
There's a really nice little dichotomy of it.
I love most of my army was the corpse enemy from this, because if you give them melee, they've got a little light sword and they follow you around. It's fun seeing the lo-fi corpsemen in the hi-fi sketch area outside.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Comparatively higher fi.
Yeah, just the beautiful like sketch marker kind of texture on stuff, and like it can be fully colored, like whenever you're near life or whenever you are walking, you impart color kind of in a limited area around you as well.
Yeah,
It's
neat looking.
I like the way the music is handled. The retro places, it sounds like retro 90s shooter music to a certain degree, but in the hand-drawn areas, you hear like a rough cut of the orchestral music that would be playing there, that includes like interruptions and like murmured instructions from the composer, like, you know, saying, all right, now we're gonna spell here, all right, no, stop, I need you, we're gonna need a little bit more of this. That trick never really wore out on me. I thought it was neat, and you know, kind of worked alongside the hand-drawn kind of textures to make this feel unfinished.
Yeah, it's one of the you know, concept points of this that are really strong. Like being in an unfinished work is an undeniably cool idea.
Yeah,
you know, even if the end product ends up leaving me feeling kind of cold.
Yeah. One thing that I do enjoy when you get cinematics, they are done as whiteboard animatics slideshow kind of things, which if you have worked in animation is absolutely how you pitch stuff.
Yeah.
So
I like that. And I love it when they're doing the cinematics and they're just kind of the paper dolls that they're moving around
Yep.
for you. They're just really stiff to kind of like banging action figures around to show you, you know, just imagine this looking cooler.
Yeah.
The studio was formed for this game, Question Games, formed by Stephen Alexander, Kane Shin, and Jordan Thomas, who worked on BioShock and Dishonored.
Yes.
You know, so you can kind of see those are both games that play in the space of narrative versus play.
Yes.
And, you know, either mechanically or narratively. So you can it makes sense why this would be interesting to them.
Yeah. Jordan Thomas is the one who does most of the speaking about the game. When you see some of the limited interviews that are out there, he was also the lead designer on Thief Deadly Shadows. You know, so from all of that, you can kind of see this is a little bit downstream from Looking Glass.
Yeah. Yep. Jordan thought of this game when he was working on Thief 3, working on Deadly Shadows. He had an unfinished level and all the characters were in T-poses, and he imagined them looking at him, waiting for him and wondering when he'd finish the game.
Right.
So, you know, there aren't very many interviews. There's not a lot of backstory for this. You know, they talk a lot about going from big development to going to an indie scale and things. And this was kind of weirdly a blip, which if I remember, I think that's part of why Joe picked it, was just, you know, never really hear people talking about it. It reviewed okay. I did not find like a lot of really glowing reviews of it. I found lots of like 7s and 8s.
Yeah. Yeah.
But it did not sell in what they call sustainable numbers.
Right. Right.
And they say that is because they did not market the game at all. The marketing that they did do, there's kind of fun. There's a fake Kickstarter site for the game within a game that they're making. That is a fun little bit that you get, like, you know, unique James Urbaniak dialogue
Nice.
for and stuff. But they just didn't get that word out there. So
Yeah. Yeah, I could see it. It's tough. It's tough having your indie, you know, to find a way to get your indie game to break through.
Yeah. And it's a shame because it's an easy game to pitch, I think. Like, if I were listening to us right now and did not know this game, I would say, this sounds fucking awesome. You know, like that sounds really, really clever and cool. This is entirely my shit. And it just falls down in the details.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, so let's get into it and let's talk about those fall downs.
Let's do it. So we have our intro here. We've got Ish, again, James Urbaniak, talking about how his dad used to spin his wedding ring on a table like it was a coin, right? And it made him scared because, like, what'll happen if you lose that? You know, just if you lose your wedding ring.
Is the wedding gone?
Yes.
You know, what does it symbolize? Is the wedding gone? Am I gone? You know, that's our opening. We should talk about, the title of this is The Magic Circle.
Right.
The game within a game is called The Magic Circle. The Magic Circle is a ludology concept that means, like, when you're playing a game, you're within a space with agreed upon rules. You know? So, like, in real life, if I throw a tennis ball past you and it hits the ground and then you don't get it, nothing happens. But if we're in a tennis court, that means I have something called a point.
Right.
That's the Magic Circle. And then it also refers to the creative process and how cyclical, these people just kind of starting over, feature creep, stuck in these loops.
Yes.
And the wedding ring. So they, again, nothing in this game is really subtle. They really hammer down this circle point.
Yeah. The old pro will describe the Magic Circle explicitly several times. In talking about kind of the difference between the game that you are playing and, the game that they are making within the game.
Emulates the experience of getting, like, Gary Kitchen drunk at a conference or something like that. Like, just like, hey boss, so if
Is he a
it's
ghoul
very
from
funny,
Fallout?
yeah. Hey, smooth skin. I really like the idea of people getting drunk and talking about ludology
Yeah.
and stuff. Like, it's like this generation, like if if we had kids, just being like, I'll tell you about ludonarrative dissonance.
It's they gotta have this thing called suspension of disbelief.
Yeah, dungeon ecology, kid. Why are they here? What do they eat? Where do they go to the bathroom? That stuff's important. Nobody listens to me. Everybody's just doing the VR fruit ninja.
Yeah, you gotta wonder, that fruit's up there, but who threw it?
Yeah, like, what is the provenance of this lemon?
Yes. So they're going to use every part of the title, the magic circle, as they talk about this. So this little story, insecurity about losing the ring and what it represents, kind of informs the intro to the game, which is narrated over this whiteboard animatic with this overwrought creation myth, and this being, this kind of god called the Starfather.
Yeah, big big Lord British energy to this. As this is going on, Maze interrupts and says, like, hey, Ish, when you had your wife, did you ever role play with her? Bringing in, and I'm just at the risk of sounding like a prude, like I always do. I'm just going to say it. All the sexual subtext stuff in this game doesn't work at all. Right. I don't understand what it's doing here. And it doesn't add up to anything.
No.
Like, there's this weird, like, orgy, polyamory, like, sex element to all of it that just feels like them throwing something on the fire. Like, it can also be about that.
Yeah, I don't see how it maps. I don't see how the connections through there.
Parenthood does.
Yes.
Like, weirdly, this is a sad dad game.
Uh-huh.
But
a sad attempted dad game.
Yeah, well, they don't give out Nobel Prizes for attempted dadetry. It is that kind of thing, and yes, you have sex when you want to have a kid a lot of the time, but just the unrelentingly, weirdly, kind of like brassy, horny Maze.
Yeah,
popping this in is weird to me.
There's a belligerent horniness between characters who hate each other.
Yes. Which I've only ever seen in like TV and stuff.
Yeah.
That's the most disgusting, outlandish, sweet thing I've ever seen, and kissing. Like, it's real weird. So her point in doing this is like, it does, everything lives and dies in the act. It only is what you're doing is the only thing that matters. The context doesn't matter.
Right.
Basically, like, when you fucking, then you're probably fucking. Like, it's basically the that song, the Reggie Watts song.
But again, setting up this this conflict that Coda is going to come in and disrupt with a third unrelated concept.
Yes.
But all of this bloviating, and then May is coming in and saying this means nothing. Meaning lives in the hands, right?
Yeah. And Ish, just ends the meeting early, and just says, I'll just use a placeholder for now. It really, really dissuspends my belief that they've been doing this for 10 years.
Yes.
And they hate each other this much.
Yes. Somebody would have left, likeness rights or not.
Yeah. Oh yeah. The likeness rights. MacGuffin. So we are depositing this tutorial area, this burning village.
Right.
Everything's hand drawn. The villagers are impaled on spikes, but some of them don't have real textures. They just have the Harlequin kind of checkerboard texture.
These placeholder textures. Love the placeholder stuff. Like when you find the heart containers in this, I mean, they do bullshit. It plays into a system that doesn't work, but I love that it's the pill with the arms.
Yeah. Yep. I love that arm pill.
Yeah.
Extra lives. There's a lot of cute touches here too when you try to go into doors in the village. They're like, placeholder, hey, if you want, somebody's note, like, if you want me to put a side quest or something here, then we need this to happen first. Leaving notes for each other. That's real clever.
Yeah.
This this first part is going where you find your the Starfather's sword from the dying mother of Starfather. And then these two icons pop in representing Ish and Maze. They're giant eyeballs.
Yes.
and Ish stops everything. Like, why would you get a sword here? Like, if you have a sword, people can be killed.
Mm-hmm. You know, he refers as like, oh, we've got these players here. You give them swords. Every player is Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Genocide.
Yeah. Yep. You know, if people, they say like people want these rich worlds full of story, also filled with people that they can kill. What kind of story could survive in that environment?
Right.
And Maze goes, okay. And then you lose the sword. At this point, Oblivion solved this.
Uh-huh.
You know, this actually isn't that big of a problem.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean,
know,
no, like Morrowind 4 years before Oblivion solved it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Said, oh, you've killed something. You've killed. Yeah. No, the bonds of fate have been severed. Reload or continue.
It's also, you know, you just in Mario Brothers, you don't get a chance to jump on Peach's head and like smash, you know, Goomba Stomper. Like it just, you know, this isn't a problem in games actually.
Right. Right.
So.
Oh man.
We head outside, and then Ish has this like model of the Starfather that he's carrying around. This is very cute. It looks like Tabletop Simulator.
Mm-hmm. And he's like
improvising a speech.
Yeah, swinging it, like moving it like a puppet. As it says, you know, you must save my ring and, you know, save all of the cosmos, etc. Then Maze further bites into him, saying like, hey, you know, we're never going to be able to animate this because we don't have any fucking money. Our last Kickbacker campaign raised less money than the joke one where the fans said you should be caned by the state. I like that one.
Yeah.
I like caned by the state.
Yeah, Kickstarter. Please cane this man. Ish kind of brushes off like, hey, we need a gameplay demo to show at E4 so we can raise more money.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it doesn't really matter. We need something.
Right.
As you kind of go through, it's just cycling different music tracks that you can check out. You get to this ring of portals with an icon in the center, and this is the text designer saying like, "Hey, you can't put the portal that high up. Nobody will look up." Mm-hmm. And the portals represent different elemental worlds you can go to, but they're incomplete. So it just says it'll just spawn in a key.
Yep.
For you. That's real cute.
Yep.
You know,
it's like, no, we'll just stay in the hub world. Like those aren't done yet, just for the purpose of testing. Go through and see all the beats of the main story. So you get these keys and this, it's like your introduction to throwing things. You have to do that a little bit. It shows you the trajectory that it'll go along, and then it'll stick to whatever surface it's in. You do that, and you open up the door to the pre-end game boss fight, or at least where it would take place. Ish and Maze are bickering over it, and she deletes the bridge that would go to the end game, so people will know that it was Ish who tanked the demo. So again, finger pointing and stuff. The
end boss there is represented by Ish's ex-wife, which you get some audio logs about later, but again is not something that plays out
right
particularly meaningful, and also is kind of just gross.
Yeah, it's the you know, the Starfather, and then the evil counterpart is the demon queen Nadir.
Yes. Yeah. Maze is super resentful. She's like, Ish, you know, you stole 10 years of my life. He counters with the absolutely absurd thing, like, you can leave at any time, but I get the rights to your image and brand, which is like, what is this Black Mirror shit? Like, I don't know why I listened to Back to the Comrade episode.
Okay.
That I did. How did I not notice that was fucking absurd? I've grown a lot.
Yeah.
Now, because at that time I was just like, yeah, he owns the image rights. That's cool. That makes sense. I don't know if like 2015 was just really different or something, but now I'm just like, fuck, that's stupid.
Shit was bad.
Like 10 years.
Yeah.
You know, just absolutely ridiculous.
Yeah, so it just kind of introducing that, giving a little bit of a reason, not a plausible one, but a little bit of a reason why Maze would stick around. We get a scripted event here where Ava Nadir, the Demon Queen, summons in her Hellhounds. This is where we die because we don't have a sword to do any kind of fight. And this is where Maze starts talking directly to you, saying, "Oh, you know, you're still around. That shouldn't be. You're kind of bugged out. You can still move around and interact with things without a body." She wants you to keep testing. You know, just because so you can help them get the demo out.
Yeah. And since you're deleted and ghosted, you can interact with ghosted objects like the bridge to the end game area,
Right.
and continue. One really weird thing that I didn't notice so much on my first playthrough is how often tooltips pop up on the screen.
Yeah.
In this game, this game is continuously telling you how to play it in this really, really inelegant way. So like being able to interact with ghosted objects when you're ghosted is something the game will tell you now, but will tell you whenever you're near something ghosted. Being able to summon the creatures you've already created or teleport around the map is something that I just got constant reminders of.
Yeah, I felt like it was pinned to certain areas of the map, actually.
Yeah.
Like if you were in any place where that could be. It's like any point where somebody who was testing it encountered friction, they decided to patch over it with a tooltip.
You just had a sentence pop up.
Yeah.
Which would make sense in the Magic Circle, the incomplete game within the game, but makes less sense in the Magic Circle, the complete game that I played.
Yes, where you ostensibly, nobody should be helping you break this game for the E4 demo, which is what you end up doing. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. So you go through a little portal here and you end up in kind of the vestibule to the kind of open sandbox area where you're going to spend most of the game here. We're headed to the tree. And this opens with another animatic here. And we're introduced to a new character, Coda, who is this community manager. She interrupts. She's very energetic. And she is a fanatic. Like we are introduced to her gushing over Ish, and we get the sense that Ish, is kind of feeding off of this admiration. He has not had this for a while. She loves his work and has been waiting her whole life for the sequel. She is very young.
Yeah. In a way that kids get really obsessed with text adventure multi-user MUDs. She says she's going to make sure the demo works, absolutely flawlessly. We get a credit screen. Almost every role is Ish here. And then we head back to the title where we get a new voice. This is kind of nice and meta, like it going back into the title right here. This is the old pro speaking from the circle behind the text. When you're in the title screen, you can walk around the title screen. I'm always impressed by this trick.
Yep.
I like title screens or UI elements presented as a world. And he says, hey, like the world is unfinished, you need to finish it. And he gives you a new option called pro mode,
right?
That you can enter and actually play the game.
Yes. And so you walk into the dark circle, and old pro kind of explains, I am trapped in this game, and he needs our help to finish it so he can leave. And this is where he starts referring to Ish and the others as gods. Kind of putting us in the mode to like look at them as a pantheon that all represent different things about games.
Yes. So you walk through the psychedelic tunnel and come to the old pro, who is now represented by this moss-covered rock face. There'll be multiple instances of him over the world. You are filling him in order to get narrative, but it costs this life resource that he'll give you, which means I had to do some shuttle runs. We talked about that being an inelegant thing. That was obnoxious, like running into one of these, wanting the story, but not being full up on life.
Yes.
And having to walk back to a well. He says that in order to fix the world, you need to start by breaking him.
By breaking the character. Yeah.
He says you. You stick your hand in the glowing hole, grab some life, and this allows you to do that mechanic, which we talked about.
Yes. Creating the circle trap that you walk into, giving you the ability to see this deleted content, even when you have a body.
Yes.
And this is where it's established that you can use life to bring back deleted items.
Yep. We see Maze and Coda talking in their eyeball representations. Maze wants her to build the demo for E4. Seems like a lot for a community manager, but
that's also not what a community manager does.
Not even remotely.
Yeah.
Maze notices that something that she had deleted was brought back. She notices there's a glitch in the system. She's going to be okay with it due to her machinations. And old pro starts calling the developers the Sky Bastards. Sky Bastards. And says the world can't be fixed with them around.
Yes.
Giving us kind of a goal here.
Yeah. We need to get rid of the one of these Sky Bastards that is kind of hovering over this place that in the game is called Sky Bastard Overlook.
Yes.
You can restore a deleted cave and go into it. This is where you get your first heart container kind of thing. You know, and Old Pro says like, yeah, this is what you look like. This is, you know, when everybody else sees you, because you don't actually have a character model. You're this pill with arms sticking out. You know, the camera's in the pill, so you can see, you know, all you can see is the arms, and it looks fine. The developers, they had canceled multiplayer, so there are other U's laying around, you know, and this is explaining why you can get these heart containers.
Yeah. Yep. So we go into the first cave with howlers, which are a basic enemy. They're little attack dogs. It's going to damage you. So you need to trap it, and then you can change it to be your ally. You know, there are mushrooms we can find, which you can't do anything yet with. And this is the basic kind of way that combat works in this game, is by accruing an army of like pets with different properties.
Yeah.
So, you know, you have this first guard dog, then you'll get other guard dogs and then other guard corpses and guard jugadillos and such.
Yeah. And then eventually you'll want to start taking away their ability to walk because you have way too many things following you around.
Yeah. Yeah, you have to misery them.
You have to hobble them.
Yeah. Yeah.
And of course, Old Pro says like, you can pluck off their legs all you want, making you feel bad, making you feel like a little psychopath kid torturing flies.
The mechanic of doing this is too clunky.
Yes.
You have to trap once you've trapped an enemy, you don't have to trap it again. You can just edit it. But you go in and then I was playing with a controller because of my recent injury. So you are walking around the menu to edit their things, and you do it one by one.
Yeah.
So until you get there's a hive mind ability later, until you get that, if you have several different, you know, howlers and you want to give them all a property or all stop them from following you, you have to go in them one by one.
Yeah.
Maybe you wish this was controlled overhead from with a mouse, like Baldur's Gate.
Yeah.
Like an RTS. A million times better automatically. Like you wouldn't get the same immersion, but in terms of like flow, it would just be so much easier and less interruptive.
Like in a dev, like if this was an actual like dev tool, there would be a table view, right? Whereas like, okay, here's Howler instance 1, Howler instance 2, and they would have different columns where you could click and kind of manage all of them, you know, with, you know, control clicks and shift clicks and stuff like that. That's what I wanted, because fucking everything should be a spreadsheet for me, I guess. It would have been.
Spreadsheets are good.
The spreadsheets are very good, yeah. The kind of the band-aid that they put over this, like, you know, okay, it's frustrating when you have a bunch of enemies that all can overlap with each other. Like, it gives you the ability to cycle through any of them that are near to you, but I wasted a lot of time thinking, okay, I think maybe this is the Howler that's fireproof, and then I would go into its menu and look and see, nope, not this one, the other one. I would try and target it, and I would target the exact same one that I was just in, that kind of stuff. Which is why it became, you know, which is why I left Howlers and other things laying all over behind me, like it was that scene in Glory.
A swath of destruction.
Yeah.
It's a weird thing where the limited resources in this game don't add very much.
Yeah.
Like limited life or having limited instances or Vancian expressions of the different properties, you can give to the creatures just ended up being a time tax.
Yeah.
You know, there weren't a lot of puzzles that would be made too easy. If once I found fireproof, I just had unlimited access to fireproof.
Yes.
You know, in a puzzle, you usually only need one instance of a thing. It's just about putting it on the right creature. So like making that limited just meant this weird form of external menu juggling. Like if you imagine Leon Kennedy walking around with all of his briefcases orbiting his head and each one has a couple things in it.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
It's just a lot of friction this time around. It's a short game. Like it's not, you know, it's not like, oh man, I spent 7 hours fucking with the inventory.
No.
But it's just annoying because it's not what the game feels like it's about.
Yeah, yeah. You know, like the play is about thinking, all right, well, I need this ability, and then when you find something that's with it, it's like, okay, cool, I can start like, you know, messing around with my Lego parts to like make a thing that'll do it for me. And there are lots of, you know, small little roadblocks put in the way of that.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah.
There's an audio log around here where we can hear Ish confronting Coda with a recording of her addressing fans on a stream saying how she's going to take over. the magic circle. That is what she's actually here to do.
Yep.
With her assassination adjacent plot.
And Ish seems very unconcerned with it. We're never told when these things, are recorded in relation to each other. Like, it's never put on like a timeline or like put into a list. So I don't know if like this was the day after she was hired and Ish just decides I can look past this because, we didn't talk about it before, but like in Coda's little introductory speech, he says, I know projects like this run on love. And your tank is run dry, so I'm going to be here to fill it back up, right? So I don't know if like Ish just didn't believe that she would have been lying to his face, and instead, the truth was what he heard on the stream. It seems to be dropped very quickly.
Yeah, I'm not sure.
Yeah.
We head into this forest where Ish, we get an audio log with him inviting Coda to offer feedback. She calls him Milord, Big Lord of British Energy.
Yes.
And there are caves here. We can find an audio log between Maze and Coda talking. The office is wired up to record everything that's said to claim as content for the company, which is why we're getting all these audio logs of things that people would not meaningfully record.
Yes. Yeah. And I could believe that with Ish being such a control freak. Also, this is just a cartoonish version of, if you had any version of this idea on my company time, I own it. So just trying to capture all of it so you can monetize idle thoughts from people. Again, Black Mirror kind of thing.
Yes.
Yeah.
We get Maze's motivation here, talking about how she wants to get fired. If she gets fired, she gets her magical likeness rights back. So she wants Coda to help her get fired before the game ships.
Right.
10 years. 10 years. She's been working on this plan for 10 years, a decade. People have lived and died in this time.
Yep.
She was a pro gamer.
Yeah.
At like 23. So she's in her fucking mid 30s.
Yeah. 2 presidents, for sure. Yep. At the very least.
At least. Yeah. Up to 3 presidents. We run to the old pro. He talks about his plan for the game. You defeat this demon, you go through an arc, but he says that's not real. If you watch the gods, you learn that people don't arc, they just loop. They just circle over and over and over.
Themes in a magic circle. So you open up this crude gate with a wheel, and you get this glitch cinematic. And Maze addresses you. She has noticed your work here before, but now she is kind of making your case to you directly, saying, every time my gameplay plays too rough with his story Bible, it shanks the controls away. Talking about the frequent cutscenes that you're getting here. She is enlisting you, in addition to Coda, to get her fired.
Yeah. We get a little audio log saying how the Howlers are sentient, and the reason why they're jerks is because they're rebelling from being subjugated.
Yeah.
That doesn't really go anywhere.
No.
In terms of big, kind of unexplored concepts in this, computers becoming sentient is one of the big ones.
It's just kind of taken for granted. It's like, it's the Big Bang. It's the one miracle that is needed for this to work. So this is like the way that I read this was less like this is something that is happening in real life. Like the Howlers are actually sentient. I think that this is just like built into the story, actually.
No, this is too, but it's a thematic echo of the old pro.
Right.
Like
right.
It's just in this game, just being about things and not being about them.
Yeah. Yeah. So like Ish is talking about this and saying, the Howlers being sentient and rebelling with violence because they're being oppressed. He says, it's sort of my Animal Farm take on the slave trade. And Maze rightfully points out, like, before you go playing with fire like that, maybe take a look at all the NPCs and realize how white they are.
Yeah.
You haven't done the necessary work to be able to play in that space. And so it says, all right, let's revert to placeholders, please.
Like that is a good joke and a good point that is entirely encapsulated within these like 3 sentences in the game.
Yep.
In terms of this game not, choosing to be about too many things. As we continue through, we fall into this placeholder cave and we get to summon the spaceship bulkhead from the old game. The original text adventure had a small portion that was set in the distant future. And in the remake, you would start there.
Yes.
with this kind of anti-hero, the Pro, who we met, the old Pro.
Yeah.
And now we're in the like System Shock 1 zone.
Yes. The space station Limina.
Yes. Yeah. Old Pro tells you that, back then the gods thought they could put more than one hero in the game, do multiplayer. So the elevator in front of you won't open for you alone. That's kind of your first puzzle here.
Yeah. So he sends you over to Hibernetics. This is where his game would have begun, kind of like Aliens or what have you. He would have woken up from the stasis pod. We edit him, and we go in. He talks about how he's been stuck for 20 years. And in that time, he has learned to reach out and affect the world indirectly. We take his cybernetic arm, which will let us boss the creatures around. This is a separate little tool that you can use to issue waypoints to your followers.
Yes. The way you get it is kind of clever. You switch his model from the male to the female model, which they had not completed.
Yep.
So the arms are just floating and it allows you to take them.
Yeah, I like that. I like that the female model isn't completed after 20 years. Yeah.
This allows you to use the elevator because you can send your allies to go step on the other pad. So you can get to the bridge.
The old Pro is like frustrated that like, oh, of course they were lazy. They don't care what stands in the sensor as long as it's just something. It didn't need to be another player.
I don't think that's really lazy.
Yeah.
It's a weird, like, man, old Pro, get off their dicks a little bit. Like,
Yeah. Just kind of.
They don't even care. Like, why would they care?
Yeah.
It's like, would the computer care? And I don't know. When you get up there, we're introduced to the Doorbot, who is this little orb robot. I use this guy as my bodyguard a lot because I thought he was cute.
Yeah.
And he has the lightning rod ability, which brings down force fields. So if you make him follow you, it'll open up doors for you, and you can also make him fight, give him fire breath and shit later. And when you're going through here, we're finding creator commentary. Even though this game is so unfinished and everything, they started making commentary for it. They draw a line under this, but something I think about a lot is that characters inside a work criticizing the plot is something you have to be really careful with.
Yes.
Because sometimes that can really work. Oftentimes, though, it's kind of used as an excuse to do something implausible.
Yes.
And that's what's happening here.
Yeah. I believe
Ish
that.
says, like,
I believe that Ish is enough of an egomaniac that he would believe people would want him to comment on something unfinished.
I would believe it on a smaller time scale.
Yeah.
Like this is it's the exaggeration hurts this to me.
Yeah, I can agree with that.
Yeah. But he's says he's also doing this to not do other work. Which makes sense because that is also believable. When you leave, we go back into the fantasy world. Here they're kind of connected. There's this big Stargate up in the sky. This is the Sky Bastard Overlook, where Coda is confronting Maze about the sci-fi world. And Coda's pissed. Like, that world is completed, but you're not finished. Like, we never got to see that. You guys had a complete game.
And you just flush it away. We'll find out more about her kind of history with this later on. This is kind of her version of the Dark Souls 2 with the old lighting engine.
Yes. Yeah. Yep.
Yeah. And this is
1.5.
This is where Coda kind of loses it on Maze and says, "Hey, you've lost touch with the fan community that you came from." And Coda uses her off powers to strip Maze of her editing powers, kind of making her just an observer who can go through. And also we get the implausible story beat here. Ish has signed Maze's brand rights over to Coda and didn't even ask why.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay.
Again, that's made this person a slave for more than a decade.
Yeah.
But sure.
Fine. Okay.
So Coda is using cheats. She has these whirly birds, which are these like little drones, these sky drone things, acting as her bodyguards.
Yes.
So the bulk of the game actually is assembling a way to counter those, so we can get on to the next phase.
Right.
Yeah, and as in your way there, there's a change log with an arrow saying this way, and the art director put that sarcastically because the level designer kept bugging you about clarity. Again, kind of inside baseball.
Yeah.
That Valve commentary thing about how game designers will show you where to go.
Yeah. And like the interplay on this is pretty funny because he put this arrow in as a joke, and then the level designer is like, "Oh, I kind of like it. Let's keep it."
Yeah.
Yeah, fuck.
Everyone hates each other. Everyone's really unpleasant. Nobody knows how to work together at all.
Yeah, yeah.
It must have really sucked to work on BioShock.
I guess.
Like, it must have been really fucking horrible.
Why would you put up with it? Oh, because it's an exclusive industry, and they use the fact that there are armies of people who would do it for free waiting behind you to as leverage to get you into untenable conditions. Oh, right. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
There we go. I retract my point. So this gets us out to the hub. We're in these desert plains. We can hear Ish talking with Coda about how this game will be his legacy, because he doesn't have any family. Kind of his original idea for this was almost like a Dragon Quest. What is that, Dragon Quest V, where you play multiple generations?
Yes.
Yeah, doing that. His idea was that the game would observe you and create an offspring that you would go in and play as, and the offspring, their traits would be based on your behavior.
Yes. Which is a cool idea.
Mm-hmm.
You know, that's A-okay. That seems like something somebody would do now as kind of a game idea. You know, he's really driven by this theme.
Yes.
You know, of sterility and infertility.
Mm-hmm.
You know, pretty intensely.
Yes.
The original text adventure ended with these lines, you know, by the time we understand our legacy, it's too late to change it. You know, which is true and a good line.
Yes.
There.
Yeah. And it will be his primary motivation because of his, as TV tropes would say, Freudian excuse.
Yes.
Yeah. We find an audio log in a cave nearby. So you can go like in any direction from this point. I'm presenting things in the order that I went. And I made sure that I went to every particular place. Understand that we are in the nonlinear portion of things here. But you
also,
can
these puzzles are not going to necessarily be
solved.
You know, you can solve them in different ways.
Yes. Yeah. There's an audio log in a cave that you can restore about the game's script. Coda knows more about the world that Ish created than he does. Like, she is correcting him about certain things, and I'm sure that this happens. And I'm not being sarcastic there. She says, "Oh, if you need new material, what I can do as a community leader, I can just go and start an argument in the forums, and people will think everything through for you, and you can pick and choose."
You crowdsource this.
Yeah, without them knowing.
So these places, this is kind of introducing the Metroidvania section of this. Like, there are areas locked off by enemies. There's a castle with these spiders, these walkways with these exploding things called flamers. There's a door guarded by a flying sentinel. So we need to find counters for these monsters before we can continue.
Right.
The easiest place to get is to go back into the sci-fi zone, into the shuttle bay entrance. This is where the game straight up tells you, you know, don't worry if your problems seem too messy. Perfect is what got them in the first place. I guarantee you anything you do will be better than the thing they never do. Which is, I agree with that, but man, is it said at length and very forcefully.
Yes.
Like, you know, I really do believe a solution that works that isn't pretty is better than no solution at all.
Yeah.
There's something about Garrett telling it to me like he's drunk at a bar that made it seem annoying to hear.
Yeah.
Even if I agreed with it.
I think that anybody who works professionally understands that efficacious and elegance will beat any alternative most of the time, especially in game dev and software dev, right? You know, accomplishing anything is kind of a product of, I say this like I know, but, accomplishing anything in any field is oftentimes a result of, let's say, very smartly applied laziness. Let's say. It is just delivered with force in a way that it makes me feel like they were afraid people were going to miss it.
Yeah.
So you take an elevator up to the bridge. There's developer commentary here. Ish is talking about how he made this argument that the player would want to see the sky, referring to them as as his children, and himself as this creator who has given them the ability. He has deigned that they have this right to look up at the sky. And he says as much. He says, I started to think about the players as children. I can only hope that somewhere out there, one of you felt the same. Oops. Uh-oh. They did.
Yeah.
And they
Yeah.
they tried to get you killed.
Yeah, they're going to come Oedipus you.
Yeah.
You walk down this evacuation tunnel. We find commentary where Ish talks about how the game seemed broken, but he came in one morning and it was all fixed. And he's, now I'm a highly public atheist, but this seemed like an act of God. Highly public atheist. Yeah.
Highly public atheist is the most compact way in 3 words to describe a very particular personality type that I've ever seen.
Yes. Yeah. It's also during these points, they start he's getting drunker as he goes, as he records these. So that's why they start getting maudlin and and it ends up kind of making sense.
Yeah.
We find some conversation between Maze and Ish. Ish trying to make the multiplayer a cooperative story experience, and Maze and her friends just broke in and started ganking people. This is in the original MUD, and that's why he hired her.
Yes.
Because the game started selling as this, and he just says it for her benefit. But it's really for our benefit. This multi-user MUD that was a story experience, people actually liked the multiplayer combat more, and she laments never being able to kill him, going back to Richard Garriott being unkillable in Ultima Online.
Yes. Yeah. I love that he describes what Evelyn did to his game as turning it into a murder circus.
Yeah.
Yep.
Frags up. Frags up for gamers.
Yeah. There's a changelog between Eric Last, who is the lead level designer. I don't know what Last has to do with that.
I kind of wish I could take that away from people.
Yeah.
The meaningful name thing, because for every time it feels kind of good, and you're like, oh, okay. I feel like there are like 4 times where it just seems stupid as hell.
Yeah. Yeah.
Just name something that sounds cool and sounds good to you, rather than like it having to be an illusion, because it's not as clever as you think it is.
It just it seems I don't know. It almost feels like it's an invitation to use the first draft. Like there's no such thing as too on the nose. Yeah.
Like they're definitely better versions of it, than this. Like this is very, very direct, but like, I don't know. It is, it's becoming a pet peeve. I think.
Yeah. That's been a pet peeve for you for a while, I think.
I guess that's true. Yeah. It comes down to taking a class on Hitchcock. And watching North by Northwest, and like the character being named Thornton, and he's like, Thornton, crown of thorns.
Ooh.
And me just being like, I like you, teacher, but fuck, man. Like,
Oh, take it easy there, Christina Ricci. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Oh man. But this changelog is a conversation between Last and Maze, talking about needing to cut things like dungeon ecology for memory purposes. There were a couple of other conversations, like somebody had attempted to give the Howlers more realistic behavior. Like, oh yeah, they would go and like search for food, and they would have family units and packs and stuff. And Maze came in and said, oh no, all they need to do is run at the player and attack them, because that's all the player is going to notice. Which I disagree with. Dungeon ecology.
Absolutely disagree with.
Yeah.
Dungeon ecology is great.
Yes.
Not to out myself as an Ish.
Well, no, it's specifically like dungeon ecology. It makes for interesting play. Like it is one of those things that is explicitly the compromise that is good.
Well, that's the frustrating thing, is that Maze is not representing somebody who is mechanics first. She's representing somebody who's deathmatch first.
Yes.
Like, it's not just that every game has to have mechanics, it's that every game has to be a multiplayer deathmatch.
Which I disagree with.
Which is, but no one agrees with that.
Right.
It's such a like, it's part of why these characters seem so unlikable and so unreasonable. And some of the messaging in this game falls flat, is like, nobody actually represents any of these opinions.
Right.
They're also exaggerated as to be, Ken Levinian.
Yes. Maze says that she has tried to delete things, but they still remain on the object list. This is just a kind of a way for them to hand wave why deleted things are still around.
Yeah. Yep. We're heading over to this back towards Nadir's prison. here, and we talked to a mushroom wizard who's trapped in a cell. But he's trapped, so we need to get the key.
Yes.
We learn a little bit more about the studio's financial problems. Coda is talking to Ish about a call from the loan officer, which reveals that Ish took out a Faustian loan to make payroll.
I love the idea. I love the idea that just a bank offers that, like that's on their product sheet. Now we can move you over to the Faustian line
in tier, yeah. And it's attempting to give a little bit of positive shade to Ish.
Yes,
like he's doing it to make payroll. He's not doing it just for him. Like Coda says she doesn't want to take a salary, but he's like, no, you work here. Like you get money,
which, good.
That's good. Yeah.
Yeah. I wonder if that would be a little bit too close to home, that if there was a studio head who insisted that people not be paid for extra work.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
So to open this cell, you need a key. And this is really frustrating because it is a cool puzzle whose solution is literally scrawled on the wall behind it.
Yeah. Yeah. I did not do it this way.
Ooh.
This time around. I did these things in a different order, and I tractor beamed the key.
Ooh, nice.
To myself. But the way you're supposed to do it is there's these lava blocks and these turtles on it, the jugadillos, who you cannot use as stepping stones because the lava kills them immediately, or they fall through the floor. So you have to become ghosted to jump on them.
Right.
To get across to get the key to unlock the wizard, who you can then now have protect you.
Right.
The mushroom wizard, who is a design I like.
Mm-hmm. That's good. I love his little beard.
Yeah, he's great.
Yeah. So this will protect you from some damage. You can either put that on him and have him follow you around, or move that on anything else. It's literally how the game works. I don't know why I feel an hour in, I feel it necessary to describe that. Kind of heartbreaking here. There's an audio log of Coda breaking in to check Ish's voicemail. And you can find the exact moment.
Weird move.
Yeah. Little invasion of privacy. Yeah. But you can find the exact moment when Ish stopped caring, when he checked out, because it's full, and the last unplayed message is from 8 years ago. And this is a call from his fertility doctor. Like, he was still working with his ex-wife to try and have a kid. And repeated testing has confirmed that Ish is sterile, and he needs to start looking at adoption, or considering that, if he wants to have a kid. Which is tragic, and my heart goes out to anybody who has ever dealt with that, to want to have a kid and not be able to. It has to be one of the biggest disappointments.
Yeah. Again, the scale is what loses me on this. 8 years of just like running in place.
Yeah.
Because of this thing. Like, I'm not trying to make a self-actualization flex, but I do think that, like, you don't have to get over everything, but you could try, and you can surround yourself with people who will tell you, like, hey, like, this is, you maybe need to work on this.
Yeah. And there could possibly be like a treatment of this where his stature, like, enabled him to surround himself with enablers, let's say, the enablers, right? And he's
surrounded by pushy people who hate him.
Yeah.
Like, he's surrounded by people just constantly talking shit about his balls and his barren wasteland of a dick.
Yeah. Yeah, it shoots little sperms, but they've got skulls instead of the round part at the front.
Yeah, you're death brag. Yeah. You're spritzing glue, but it's Elmer's. It doesn't work. You get somebody who spritzes magic glue or whatever. It's just, again, 8 years, and then just like not checking your voicemail for 8 years, and it is too much.
Yeah.
For me, like, even if I am sympathetic to it, it's also really pat.
Yeah.
Like, Ish gets one of the most complete stories of this, but it's so much a solved equation. Like, wanted to have kids, could not have kids, got obsessed with the creative work. Like, it's too, the pieces are like too there, for that. It's very strange, the line this game fails to walk.
Yeah.
With its narrative.
Like, I think it's funny that he starts trying to adopt people around him to the point where HR needs to get involved. Like, that is a good joke.
It's a great joke. It's bad pathos.
Yeah.
And the intersection between those two things is difficult to do.
Yeah.
You know, making those two things work together.
I love the idea of adopting an adult. It's good.
I do like an adult adoption.
Yeah.
There's a really good Human Giant sketch about that, where they realize that mothers get like super strength to lift cars off their babies, and a piece of furniture falls on a guy, and he's like, "Quick, adopt me!" And like she runs out and comes back with the judge, and she can't do it. She's like, "No, somewhere I know that you're not my son." It's very funny.
That's good.
So we had to cross this river of lava. There's again different ways you can do this as well. Rocks are fireproof, so you can use 2 rocks. You can also teleport across it, or get on something and make it fly, depending on what order you do things in.
Yeah.
But you just had to get across this river of lava to get to this other section of the sci-fi world, the teleport bay.
Yes. Maze will confront you here and ask you what you want, because you are nobody really knows what you're here or why, like what you are or why you're here. And I even read some stuff that like implied you're another AI who became sentient. It's kind of messy. But she says, hey, if you can lock Coda out of her account at the E4 demo, Maze will give me Coda's job, assuming I am a human, and that is anything that I would want to work alongside these people.
Yeah, do you want to go into this likeness rights prison where everything you say is recorded?
Yeah. Nothing here is a compelling sales pitch for, you know, just maybe check with your recruiting department, update the pamphlet a little bit.
There's a commentary node where Ish, you know, is meant that he's sterile. That's why he set the story in space, because space represents his big nothing, and players can bring whatever their nothing is to it. So like, this is my barren ball sack, but everything, you know, whatever the player is missing, this can represent. It's a powerful metaphor.
It's my O2 low perilous spacewalk into nothing's orbit. Yeah.
This is where we get teleportation from these teleportation pads. And this can take us to the tractor bay. This is where we also get tractor beaming.
Yeah. Both of these are very useful. I ended up using these to solve a lot of problems. Also, so we've made reference to these jugadillos. These are turtles with flat backs, which means that they are perfect to be made either into mobile teleport pads or into floating platforms that you can ride.
It also makes me think of jugadillas, like a quesadilla juggalo, which I liked.
Yeah.
I just put this together. You know what this game reminds me of a little bit? Scribble Knots.
Oh, yeah.
In the way that, like, once you get teleport and tractor beam and flying, you can basically solve everything.
Yeah.
The same way with like Scribble Knots, like jetpack is the solution to 99% of Scribble Knots puzzles.
Yeah. And Scribble Knots is kind of a similar thing where I like when I first heard the concept, like the pitch 3 years before the game came out, like on 1UP FM or whatever, I was like, this is going to be the be all end all of everything. And the actual game itself didn't live up to the pitch.
They're pretty boring. Like you can have fun in them, but they are pretty boring. I played it a demo of it at PAX and was like, this is awesome.
Yeah.
And like the developers were there, and I was like, I had to carve a tree or something, and I was like, what if I used like laser gun to do it? It didn't work, and they were like, oh, well, maybe we'll put that in. And I was like, I'm so fucking cool.
Yeah.
You know, like I felt really good about it. And then the game came out, and I played it, and I'm like, this is all right.
Yeah, I kind of hit the ceiling on this pretty quick. Huh? Yeah.
You know, yeah. If you're really creative, you can kind of make your own fun with this, but flying solves everything.
Yeah. No. That's a good observation. Good comparison here. But yeah, you get to the tractor bay by removing the teleport ability from one of the pads, so it'll force you to the third location. Over here in the tractor bay, you get a commentary note about Ish's original plans for the tractor beam nodes. Like the idea was that these would drag you through the station to these different places. Very literally, just like, oh, the developer will move you around to where they want to go. And of course, Maze goes 180 from that and says, no, we need to have playable vehicles for multiplayer. Where, you know, the players can go wherever they would like, and things ended in a stalemate, like so many things.
Yes.
Let's just put in placeholders and move on to the next thing, not solving this problem.
There's another commentary where Ish is kind of losing it. He talks about how he wants his ideas to outlive him. This is where he's really drunk.
Yeah.
He wants the meeting with the Starfather to end at the end to be the relationship.
Yes.
And then as he says it, he's like, no, this is bullshit. Like, this is just a test tube. I have to stop recording because if I sit here staring at this false world for another moment, I might just end it all. Very dramatic in the commentary recording booth to threaten suicide to your,
to your engineer.
Baklava.
Yeah.
Like, it's a fucked up thing to do.
Yeah. A little bit of emotional violence to go around. Yeah. It's already spread pretty
Men would
thick.
rather threaten suicide in a recording booth than get therapy.
Oh, man. So there's a tractor bot here that will draw all of your pets in and stuff. You can take this ability. This was my first special attack that I had. This is good. You can just put it on. I think that I put it on my little door bot, actually. No, I put it on a corpse because I put everything on a corpse. And you can direct it near whatever you would like it to grab. This is a way that you can deal with the Sentinel later on. You can deal with a lot of things this way.
Yeah, this is very powerful.
Yeah.
We make our way into the Xeno lab where there's a creature called Cerebra, not the Cerebra from X-Men 2099.
Okay. I was going to ask you about that because that sounded familiar. Yeah.
Yeah. So somebody will really like that.
Is Cerebra different than Danger?
Yes.
Okay.
Better design.
Okay.
At the very least.
Hard to do or easy to do, rather. Yeah.
Yeah. When you set this thing loose, it has the mind swap ability, and it mind swaps with a cyber rat. Which are these little just like non-entities that have been floating around here. You want to get the mind swap ability, or if you do, at this point, like you probably have enough tools to beat this section. In a weird thing that is not signaled to you, the more of this you complete, the more abilities you get and story you reveal, it makes the end game easier.
Yeah.
Which is really strange. That is a hidden kind of mechanic in this. But if you want to get that, use the teleport other ability to get inside the test chamber. And you can teleport, Turtle's entry, Rata's exit, and get this mind swap ability.
Yes. Yeah. I never found what to do with this. Same thing with Hive Mind, actually. I never really fought with that.
Yeah.
But I got Hive Mind last, as we're going to see. So.
Yeah, you don't have to, though.
When you leave the lab, you go up to the top of a hill and find a commentary node. This is where we get an HR guy involved, Saxon. This is voiced by Ken Levine, literally phoning it in. Like they have him on speakerphone for this, trying to mediate between Ish and Maze, because Ish tried to adopt Maze without her consent, which is not cool and is bad. And also, this HR guy he is terrible at his job. Actually, he commits severe malpractice.
Yep.
Yeah.
So there's this, like, as we head forward, there's this gap that's guarded by this floating creature called a Sentinel, which we mentioned before, and it repulses, it pushes anything away. So you can have the tractor bot draw it to you, so you can have your pets kill it. You can go around it if you can fly, if you take a circuitous route, etc. And this gives you, getting this gives you float as a verb, which allows you, float creatures cannot move on their own, they can just float. So you can then use this in combination with tractor beams to move things around.
Yeah. So I threw the tractor bot over to the other side and used that to drag me on a jugadillo across this little gap here.
Yep.
Yeah.
I don't remember exactly how I did it, but probably something like that.
Yeah. When you're in here, Old Pro starts talking about why he enlisted your help. He realized that he couldn't help the gods. Like they wouldn't notice him, they wouldn't listen to him. So he started playing pranks on them, like messing around and breaking things. And ultimately, over the years, again, this incredibly long time span, he lost all joy in the act of creation. He says, this isn't about pity, but a god ought to take some joy in his work.
Sure. Yeah. We get the, I was sharing the line, not you.
Yeah. Okay. I was going to be real hurt. I was hovering over the disconnect, buddy.
Yeah.
If you didn't have my likeness rights, I'd be so out of here.
Yeah. Anybody want to buy the rights to an orange sphere?
Hey, well,
Sorry.
dude,
Guppy energy.
fucking mean. Okay, all
I'm
right.
sorry. I'm sorry. Guppy energy. You're a beautiful man. I love you. And I'm just like a pink and brown sphere. Like it's fine. I saw it and took it.
No, I got you. It's fine. It's okay.
Yeah. You find this audio log by the sci-fi door that has Ish practicing his speech in the event that the studio goes bankrupt.
Mm-hmm.
And this is you get the sense that he wants to do this.
Yeah.
And that's kind of confirmed later.
Mm-hmm.
Talking about how starting out with how humanity processes failure.
Yeah.
And it's folly that game designers think they can get around that with just a button.
Yeah. And he remarks on himself saying, "Cripes, how do I manage to be preachy and self-loathing without so much as a segue?" And this is where he concludes, "I better find some money." Again, the solution isn't to fix the problem in his speech or inquire why he can be preachy and self-loathing at the same time. No, the solution is to protract things further. No, I better go solve this other problem.
Or eliminate the need in him for perfection and feature creep.
Yeah.
And ship a game. A lot of other options other than just fleecing more money from people.
Yep.
This door puts you in the space station's med bay, which is under quarantined, enforced by a robot called the Securitron, who has a railgun. This is a very powerful attack.
Yeah.
You can get and attached to a pet.
Yes. There's also the Whirly Bay down here. Where I had to bring a lot of allies in. You cannot edit something while it's in the air, so you have to drag it down with the tractor and then have your people kill it so you can go in and edit it. And yeah, I made it my ally, and this was the best chance at ghosting the Sky Bastard.
This bay is like a multiplayer map back when the game was going to be multiplayer. And the commentary here has another HR meditation or mediation. Not
HR meditation. You have heard of
podcast.
win-win, but consider the third path, the win-win-win.
Ish and Maze are arguing about whether they should cut the multiplayer, and Maze accuses Ish of having a problem with player expression. Ish calls that urinal graffiti.
Yeah. If we give, and whenever the player expresses himself using the verbs that we give to him, it is no better than just, things that are scatological. And, in talking about this, Ish says, we're cutting the crouch button. No one will teabag God. How can you even teabag in a spacesuit? So again,
the weird thing is that, he is meant to be silly. This is meant to be dumb. Once the players actually get control of this, everyone who thinks something negative about this is right. And they just mess up everything.
Yes.
So yeah.
got some bones to pick with the ending on the bad boy. Yeah.
Yep. The kind of final node of this before you get to the last part of the open world is the Hiver Queen's domain. We've run into Hivers before, these little spider things. We can't edit them because they have something called groupthink.
Yes.
So we have to get to the center of this and get rid of the queen to get rid of the groupthink ability.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This is probably one of the last things you're going to do because it is very difficult. There's a changelog outside of the Hiver Queen's little Quillag's domain there that says the attack range and strength is way too big. This is not difficulty tested at all. So maybe go ahead and fix this. Even getting past the Hivers is pretty tough because there are a lot of them.
Yeah. When you do this, Maze talks to you. She says she's impressed, and she's like, "Listen, I'm gonna let you in on a secret. This is the only story a game ever needs. There are two cavemen called Frag and Brag, and I'm gonna underline this just because it's I always feel a little self-conscious about criticizing a lady's voice acting performance.
Yeah, you don't want to be the guy who talks about vocal fry or whatever. Yeah, you want to
totally. Yeah. This is so fucking obnoxious.
Yes.
The delivery here, and I don't think it's the actress, I think it's the writing and the direction. But just this idea, Frag, the first game was created because two people wanted the same thing and didn't want to kill each other. Frag was good at it, but Bragg later said he couldn't do it because the sun was in his eyes or something. He ruined it by adding a story. That's, incoherent.
Yes.
That doesn't make any sense. And the way she expresses it, like she's like in a vacuum dropping, wisdom on you, like she's giving a speech, at like a commencement or something, just fucking sucks.
Yeah.
Like,
and she says like
so much.
Frag and brag, they're not just things that I have tattooed on my knuckles. Regardless of gender expression, I would not like this person,
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Fucking pro gamer shit.
I will disregard your input. I do not agree with your philosophy. I don't think it would result in better products.
No.
But it is presented as, in the game as one of 3 equally viable philosophies coming down from a mountain. And speaking its truth to you. And also we have Frag and Bragg. She's a huge braggart.
Yeah, she's horrible. She talks about like the galley of lost souls of people who she's like defeated.
Yeah, well,
in multiplayer deathmatch.
There's a it's not just people that she's defeated. Coda goes into her office and sees that there is a wall that is covered with gamer avatars, and each of them has a little voice recorder. It is her chorus of the damned. What she has done is
it's a fucking Mask of the Betrayer shit. We're having this wailing wall of like.
What she has done is every time she's like killed a dude and they find out that she's a woman, she records their misogynistic rants. Like one of them says like, "Oh, don't you know that cheating gives you pussy cancer?" or something like that. And she records this and puts them up, and she is kind of, I read this as being very insecure. She will get alcohol and come in here and press play on them all at once and listen to them.
Yeah. And don't mistake this for me being like, yeah, those gamer dudes who are being sexist.
No, they fucking
obviously
suck.
They suck.
Yeah,
everything in this.
Yeah,
every point of view in this game fucking sucks.
And it's okay. It is good to take joy. Like, haha, I made that person angry. Like they're hateful, and
DarkSoulsHaters.tumblr.com.
Yeah. Gloating over them. Like not only are they hateful, but they also fucking suck at this game. I hope I made their day worse because their opinions are bad. But it is portrayed in a sad and off-putting way here.
If I saw somebody with a knuckle tattoo that said Frag, the only acceptable other knuckle tattoo would be like GLES. I'm like, cool.
I can get down with that. Yeah.
Like first fist, and you're like, oh no, second fist.
Okay. Now we've got something to talk about.
Yeah. What was the deal with the dozers? What messaging were they doing with those happy slaves?
It was, I suppose. Oh man. Fraggles. That's good. I liked that. Yeah. I can look past that real mean things you said earlier and compliment your joke. See?
Thank you, buddy. I compliment your jokes too. I really honestly blame Will Hughes and his increased presence on the network for my I'm not saying that it hasn't been a decade of me just saying a mean thing because it occurs to me, but he's definitely normalized it within me a little bit more. So
and this is very shortly after he contributed to the most belligerent episode of Orb, like a show that it's a show that has no reason to be as aggressive as he made it. We all contributed to it. You did lay a trap for me though, which I still haven't gotten over.
Yeah, and we love Will.
Yes,
we think this kind of thing is funny. Yeah, and if you don't let us know.
Yeah.
There's a little subplot here that I mentioned earlier where Aisha invites Coda to his forest castle where he lives, and she's like, "Oh, that's awesome. What should I wear?" And he's like, "You'll see."
Yeah, it's like I'll tell you what you wear. Yeah.
Yeah, like there's going to be costumes there, and then she records herself going. Later, it shows her in the forest, and there are like people with cloaks and shit.
Yeah.
And she talks about how she knows that Ish and his ex-wife are poly, and that they have orgies all the time. With the best will in the world, I feel like this is referring to Sierra.
I could see culture, that. Yeah.
Where everybody's in hot tubs and shit, but it does not go anywhere.
No.
And it's not particularly funny.
because it wasn't remarked upon later, I just kind of chose to believe that she misread the situation and Ish was just into like nerd LARP shit. Like, oh, I have this place out in the woods, like she heard this like, medieval music when she went out there. Like, I figured that they were just like cavorting in the woods.
Yeah, he's Richard Garriott shit.
Yeah. But
which,
it's left open ended.
Be annoying, but
yeah.
It's. So we head back over to the Sky Bastard Overlook, and now we can send a whirly bird with a railgun to kill Coda and her whirlies. Or various other things. We can attach things to kill her.
Yes.
And we get another audio log here of mediation where Ish and Maze are drinking together, and they get along pretty well.
Yeah.
And the HR guy is also drunk and telling them to get married.
Yeah.
Malfeasance.
The HR guy is the one who told them to get drunk later. Like,
yeah,
I've got my unconventional ways. Like, dude, do you understand? Yeah. Oh God. Everything can be sued over. It's like, oh, get married, you guys. The fucking worst.
Yeah. Yep. There's also like, this feels like it's drawing a patch under the incredulity that I'm experiencing.
Yeah.
Because like this is the point where they decide to scrap the sci-fi and go with fantasy, and Maze gets hired as the lead designer. And it feels like, like papering over things. Like at some point, somebody who was writing this was like, yeah, this is dumb that they did this for 10 years and they hate each other and they still work together. And they're like, oh, we'll just make we'll throw in an audio log about them getting drunk and getting along one night and making a bunch of decisions.
Yeah.
Like it's a lot of, and if I want to be incredibly kind, I can say that's the kind of papering over things that happens in design work. Like that is the kind of, like the story is mirroring the mechanics in terms of having jury rigged solutions and such. But, I don't want to remark on author intent at all, but I can remark on author effect for me, which was not, to feel particularly moved or into that.
Yeah. It felt insufficient, let's say.
Yeah. When we edit Coda's Sky Bastard, she gets really mad. She tries to contact tech support, but the old pro, using the screen name of IT Pro, is kind of cockblocking her on it.
Yes, saying like, "Oh, it'll take me a while to get to get your to your ticket," and this is where you get the prompt to ask like, "Hey, do you want to go into the end game?"
Ready and. Here we go. Swell. Shh. Less. Here we go. Still sharp. We can do better.
Yeah. And this starts the 2 or 3 kind of end game scenarios, and that are mostly totally different gameplay. Like this is the end of the bulk of the game. This is now not interactive cutscene quite, but just like really kind of weird turns.
Yes. Yeah.
Here.
Things are more on rails than when you were wandering around the desert trying to grab verbs and stuff.
Yeah. So we start at E4. We can hear all this. We can't see it just yet. Coda is booting up the E4 demo backstage, and she's invited all these other hardcore fans to spend the last day with her making the demo. Think of the man that Starfather used to be and make it to fool him.
Right.
And it works. Ish is very pleased.
Yeah. She, invites all of these other Sky Bastards in, and they put things together in time lapse, and Ish is so pleased that he says, "Oh, I was thinking of changing the line at the end to say daughter instead of son." Yes, I can't legally adopt you, but I will figuratively adopt you in the game that you made for me.
Yes. Yeah. I'm going to adopt somebody. Somebody's getting fucking adopted.
Somebody's being adopted.
Me kicking open the door of a bar.
Yeah. I'm here to kick ass and adopt somebody, and I'm all out of asses to kick.
Chew gum and adopt sons. Coda's plan, her long con for this whole thing, is that she's going to toggle the deleted sci-fi version of the game to show all the fans what was taken from them. Doing a fairly quick, to me at least, outright villain turn. Like, this game now has a real problem. Initially it was still like not very sympathetic, but it was a little bit more sympathetic to fandoms.
Yeah.
Who care about this stuff. Now the game is like, fans fucking suck. They think they're really entitled and they're murderers. All of a sudden.
Yeah. Yeah. Kind of out of nowhere. This was only like a little bit alluded to, Coda coming in and outright saying, I know more about this world than you do, her addressing her stream and saying, hey, we're going to take this over from the inside, et cetera, et cetera. Like this becomes like straight up a plot to ruin Ish's life further.
Yes.
Yeah.
We get control of the motion control camera so we can see people. They're represented as constellations of moving dots, kind of like they're in mocap. And Maze and Ish are going to give the presentation. Ish, threatens Maze, like, play nice or I'll make the speech, and Coda gets your lightness rights. That MacGuffin.
Yes.
And Coda's plan is to have Maze kill the Starfather's baby. So Ish will give the speech and hand the game to her out of disgust.
Yeah.
Maze is taken aback. Is like, hey, this is gonna, and again, just the exaggeration or nature of this. She's like, that will not only kill this game, killing the baby, but it will kill all games.
Yeah.
In a world, that took place with Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2. Like you can do an atrocity.
You can. It's a little bit like Studio 60 at the Sunset Strip, where everything that the SNL kind of replacement did was the most culturally relevant thing that ever happened, and like policy swung on it and stuff. We did a speech where Jesus skateboarded, and now all of a sudden the Christians and the president are upset. It's a little bit like that, except here with this washed up game developer and everybody looking. It would be a story on blogs for like a day or two, but here all of games rest in the balance.
Like Todd Howard shows Elder Scrolls 6 and they kill a baby in the demo. Like that sucks. It doesn't end a medium.
Right. There's still lots of money to be made, actually. Yeah. And the medium doesn't go away until the money does. So anyway.
It's silly. Old Pro sets you out in the demo before it happens, telling you like, hey, fuck up the demo.
Right.
And at the enemies using the stuff you already have to make them make the demo disrupted. So you can do this in different ways. I made the guards all breathe fire. So when they come in, they attack the protagonist. By setting them on fire.
I gave them railguns.
And Ish is like, oh, we weren't supposed to have combat in the demo, but carry on. He kind of tries to.
Yeah, waves it off and is like, oh, we're going to refactor the demo. Let's cut to like a pre-produced like video package, right?
Yeah.
You're given a second crack at ruining things. This is where you specifically need to mess with the baby. So you can go in, like, there's kind of a half joke where Old Pro is inhabiting this thing. It's like, wah, ruin me. I gave it the power of flight, which put a propeller on its back, and I gave it repulsors so nobody could get near it.
Yep.
Yeah.
This is a fun image. They get to the baby and it's flying and exploding, and the crowd is all laughing. The crowd is full of plants from Coda. Like, they would laugh at anything here because she has an enormous amount of power. This causes
the enormous power of fandom,
or that one person. Manager.
Yeah, that one person in a fandom can get. Yeah,
right, of a community manager.
I'm telling you, every community manager should be held in a plastic cell like Magneto in X2, X-Men United.
Yes, thank you. Good use of the lingo. Not starring Cerebro, but starring Cerebro. So this causes Ish to lose it. He starts giving his speech, and Coda interrupts him, saying like, she loves your work enough to take it away from him.
Yeah.
And this is, again, just things that fucking kick my credulity in the nuts. Pulls out a toy laser, and he's like, what's that, a toy laser? And she's like, you don't even remember it, do you? You gave it to me when I was 6 at the first gameplay demo, the version that no one got to play. And then she says, and this is fucking ludicrous. She's pointing a laser, and then everyone in the audience points a laser and at his heart. And he's like, oh, they're going to be, they're just going to shoot toy lasers at me. I should be real scared. And she's like, with the way you've treated these fans, maybe one of them has a real gun. Are you willing to take this risk? And like big, post 9/11 kind of vibes, like somebody's sneaking in a gun.
Yeah.
In E4 stuff. And Coda's willing to shoot this guy in the heart or threaten to do it.
Yeah.
And it's just like, she acts like really unbelievably to give him an opportunity to make the soapbox speech.
Yes. I mean, like, and also, if he signs away the rights while he plausibly thinks that somebody has a gun pointed at him, that won't work. That's not legally binding.
Yeah.
Like,
it's just it's so extra.
Yeah,
like more than like killing a video game, killing a baby in a video game. You know, they don't want to do that because that will end video games. But a community manager holding up the head of a studio with threatening him with death to get him to hand over the rights to the company.
Yeah.
That's not going to damage the company or the brand or anything.
No.
Or getting him arrested.
It'll be
or
okay.
like that.
Yeah, no, everything works out fine. You know, you still threaten somebody's life publicly in a public place. Again, post 9/11.
I guarantee somebody who like was really in love with the narrative of this game is listening to this and being like, "Oh, it's a joke, guys! Like it's supposed to be exaggerated. Like whenever anything is unbelievable, it's a joke. You're taking it too seriously." And I just had to like tap the internal like consistent logic sign.
Yes.
You know, something being fiction or being a work of humor does not give you carte blanche to do anything. It still has to feel real and believable and weighty within the parameters you've set. And this does not.
Yeah. And this is leading up to, the climax. Like this is leading up to, the main character. Ish is the main character of this. I'll go on that limb. This this is his catharsis that he gets, right? Yeah. Like I am led to believe that this is giving
lived in.
It's lived in.
Yeah.
This is supposed to matter is basically what I was trying to say. It is supposed to matter what gets him to the point where he gives this speech, and the fact that it is all of these people training a laser at his heart. It's not just that it's like, oh, all of these are lasers. Like Coda has gathered all of the people who were at that play, at that demo. Like they're all pointing the same laser at him, and it's like possibly one person who maybe has a real gun, like who's in it. So 20 years on, like she has maintained contact with all these people, and all of them have held on to it. Like it is presenting the fandom as this weird like monolith. And now is the point where I'm getting self-conscious enough to say that nobody should ever threaten, death threats are not good. Either made online or in real life, making somebody to believe that they're going to die or that you want them to die. It sucks.
Yeah.
Don't want to feel like I'm going to
excusable.
bat. Yeah, it's not excusable, but
yeah.
Just because it is like,
it
presented as like outlandish here. Just wanted to, it felt necessary to say that. Coda makes her demand, right? You might be shot here. Or was there something else you wanted to say?
No. Yeah. I was just going to go on to the content of the speech.
Yeah. Coda makes her demand, make the magic circle public domain. The fans, can take it and make it better. And like, she's even talked about like, the fan, like this has been solved in fanfic, right? Multiple different ways or whatever. It's like, I don't know, man. Like solved, like how do you solve it in fanfic?
That's not really what works. Like, yes, Ish is a total dick, but you get to make a thing.
Yeah. She says,
you do own the thing you make.
Yeah. And she does it's like a Joker line. We believed in you, or a Tyler Durden line. We believed in you, but we deserved better. Now get the fuck out of our way.
This is a game with like 3 game developer jokers in a Mexican standoff.
Inside of you, there are 3 jokers.
3 jokers outside of Billings, Montana. So then Ish gives his speech at this point. And he acquiesces. He says, like, when I get off the stage, the rights will go back. And then he starts talking to you, the person who knows fucked up his thing, who he calls the concept of control. And he says, like, go ahead and skip my story if you don't care about it. And he does this again, like real Denny's at 2 a.m. Kind of speech about game design and agency. Control is your opiate, a guilt-free alternative to the gray and countless contours of the real world.
You come here, you do the wrong kind of escapism. You do not come here for a world. The way that you are enjoying this thing doesn't respect the creator. All that you want is the ability to affect change because you can't elsewhere.
Yes.
And we cater to you.
You're the big damn hero, Walker.
you
but
and
just a sloppier version of it.
and you're coddled, right? We've acquiesced to you. We've given you the power to accomplish anything, to accomplish everything, to eliminate all inequality, to reach the optimal ending, no matter what.
Yeah. This is where he alludes that whenever he tried to make changes to the game, he got death threats. So he's like, these are the fans. This game is very hostile to fans. So he shouldn't be surprised they came to solve him. And in like one of the lyrical moments of this, I kind of like, as he's doing the speech, the fans who have lasers pointed on him all get bored and leave. At this point, like everyone's so sick of his bullshit. That he actually is just saying it to an empty auditorium. You're his last audience member, and he can't stop while somebody's still watching him. So he just starts like begging you to cut him away. Like this is, the performance kind of sells this, even though I think the speech is not very good.
Yes. Yeah, no, I have no complaints about James Urbaniak doing this. In fact, it gets, like as he is like curled up on the floor, begging you to press the button, cut away. Like it is delivered in a way that does make me feel things.
Yeah. Yep. So you kill the feed. The old pro says, don't feel too bad for him. He's always wanted this to be about him. He wants the world to be about waiting to make that speech. In the kind of scattered way that this game is choosing targets, we go back to the overworld. Ish makes his announcement and says like, hey, before I leave, I make a new rule. They mirror reality. In one, there's a power bill. In 1 week, the power goes down. You guys need to make some money. You need to sell and ship something. Whoever can do it first gets the rights. So you guys had to deal with the economic reality of this. Coda welcomes in all the fans, and they had planned it. And then they just start being the shitty gamers that Ish was always afraid they would be. They just start tearing everything apart and playing.
Yes. Yeah. And Coda is frantically issuing her orders like, no, we talked about this. It's open to everybody. And as more Sky Bastards pop in, the frames per second drops to nothing. And the old pro pulls us back to the title screen, like a place that is that is safe for him. And so this is kind of the other ending here. So yes, our main creator guy, he's a dick. Everything needed to be about him. Also, fans are bad because creative project management is hard. Like, yes, of course, if you open up, to everybody and make it entirely not egalitarian, but, to say like, yes, anybody can come in and do anything, it's going to be chaotic. Look at any open Minecraft server. For example, right? Like, all right, so, if you go completely the other direction where there is no, firm hand on the rudder to be in control of everything, it's chaotic. Like, yes, of course. Does that mean fans are bad? I don't know.
It's trying to say that, like, Ish was right.
Yeah.
Because Coda gets her comeuppance. Once somebody actually takes authorship over this, which is you. But her just like freaking out. It's like this vengeance moment, just moments after her evil character turn.
Yeah.
And it just, it's very strange.
It's like, yes, of course, hundreds of people working with no direction. If you just let everybody in, probably not going to make a lot of progress on that.
Yeah. Separate out your issues.
Yeah.
To have a coherent thesis.
Yeah.
The FPS drops here, and old pro pulls you back to these. Like, there's nothing to do. You have to stop the game. When you go to the game, he's like, listen, I need something to be built so I can stay alive and escape. And, now all of a sudden this game is about the joy of creation. So I need you to do something. And the kind of third gameplay mode of this game opens up, which is the creator tools, which is a neat idea.
Yeah.
That I wanted a little bit more of. Like, I wanted this to be a little bit more robust.
Yes.
Than it is. It is neat though. This is a cool idea.
Yeah. It's like
you make little levels.
Yeah, it's like a Playmobil version of like a level designer. You select what rooms should go where, like off of the connections that you make, and you can fill them with the enemies that you have collected, and the enemies can do the the verbs you have collected, and you can scatter around treasure and health. And put in music and story bits and stuff. And it's really fun to like hit the, commit the changes button and watch the old pro and then later Coda go through go through the level that you made, like making their own little like comments on it and watching their boredom meter go up and down.
Yeah. It's by necessity very limited.
Yes.
Like the thing that you just had to put treasure in combat at certain places. And it ends up making the old pro and Coda seem kind of like idiots.
A little bit like, ooh, music changed. All right, meter full.
Yeah. Yeah. Like, just imagine like playing a game like this. It ties your exploration of the first part of the game into the amount of resources you have for the second part. This is a point I'm cribbing because I made a good point about it. Errant Signal, that video YouTubist, talked about how this is contrary to the message. The first part is all about being free and playing with the box, but it's restricting you based on how much you went through what the developer wanted you to see in terms of the story. Like it's saying, hey, do whatever solution you want, but make sure you collected everything.
Yeah.
Which is about the exact opposite of do whatever you want.
Yeah. Yeah. It's across purposes.
It's kind of cross theme. And I do feel like the joy of creation, like prior to this, they had a lot of things to say about how you could not take joy in creation and how that's a bummer. This being something to champion the joy of creation, though, feels like the rest of the themes and kind of story of this game did not really support it.
Well, and also it's undercut immediately when you get to credits.
Oh yeah. Because it's actually it sucks to be a creator.
Yeah, actually it sucks to because here's the joy of creation without responsibilities, but also there are lots of prerequisites to be in the position to do any kind of creation.
Yeah. This like the Welcome to the Dollhouse-esque game here. Like Todd Solondz, like, wouldn't it suck if everything sucked? Sure would.
Yeah.
Todd.
So
sure would.
I like the level creator. It is a neat little diversion. I did not make that observation that we pulled from Errant Signal, but that is a very good point. As Old Pro, after he goes through it, he will review your game. I think you need to get a positive review to move past this. So you it's pretty easy. Like it took me like 2 or 3 tries to get a 10 out of 10. And he escapes out and says, for I need to come clean to you. This whole venture wasn't just about, me getting out of the game. What he wanted was for you to experience making something, because so many of the other gods are just adding bells and whistles to the same old machine, is the way that he puts it. And this is about getting more creative people out there making new things, turning this meta narrative into like a recruiting tool to say, hey, is it making games fun? You can be part of the new group of people who save video games from themselves.
Yeah, which is, again, something I don't disagree with, but I don't think this game supports it.
Yeah.
Like the weird little, very, very basic, like it kind of reminded me of Doom 2016's. Editor a little bit. Does not feel like you're doing anything other than adding bells and whistles to the same old machine.
Yeah.
Like this is so elementary, but it is neat to have a game that you play in directly. Like you play the design and then an AI does it. Like, I would love this in a more robust thing like Mario Maker. Where like an AI could play your Mario Maker level and give you feedback on it.
Yeah.
That is a cool idea.
Yeah. So, he says, oh, and boss, I hope you got a plan B, lol, because games in the video game or jobs in the game world suck. We cut back to the desktop and Maze, congratulates you. She calls in and says, grats on shipping episode 1, which I guess is what you call an incomplete thing that people pay for. Lol, early access. Isn't that a joke? And then we get the sucky ending. We get the, isn't responsibility bad? Maze is on my team, and also all of the old team is here, and new voice chat windows pop up from different folks, all making demands of you as kind of the lead designer person. And there are so many, so many voice chat windows that the desktop crashes and we go to credits.
Yeah. And Maze is kind of none of this. She's like, I'm going to put them through. They have a lot of questions. Yeah. Because everybody hates your fucking guts in this game. Even Old Pro, who is doing this thing for you, knows it's going to suck.
Yep.
And the kind of finale of this, the credits roll. you get access to the desktop, and we can watch Coda stream the level that you made and hear her reaction, where she's like, "Oh, this is actually really good," and it's just like, going through my bland ass fantasy dungeon, but she's like, "Oh, this is making me feel like I'm in the original Mud." And then, she ends with her saying, like, maybe the new Starfather will start returning my calls, which is you.
Yeah. No, I'm not going to let you get anywhere near this. I saw what you tried to do.
Have we ever played a game before that is more self-pitying than this?
I don't know.
Like the authorial voice of this is so full of self-pity that I almost can't handle it. Like, oh yeah, it really sucks to be a lead designer. Like, I know, but you didn't like that. Yes.
Yeah.
You can make a game about that. But the way to do it would have been something a little bit more focused.
Think so?
You'd be like, I want like the Cart Life version of being that, this is just so woe is me and everybody sucks that like, it just like, it's so much worse than it is on paper. Like, it's such a neat idea.
Yeah. Yeah. Like, I don't know, like do the Cart Life about it, or like do Rain's game developer edition, where like the entire thing is about yes or no decisions, trying to balance 4 different meters, and like use that to like talk about the trade-offs that need to be made, in order to keep your team happy while also putting together like a product that is good. Right. Yeah. Like that I think would be like the actual way to to convey, what is, what this is trying to say, at least at the end, or like one of the things that maybe it is trying to say. It's certainly the final impression that they leave you with.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's a rough one. It ends up being like, this is incredibly navel gazy, which is appropriate.
Yep.
For covering this game. One of the fun things about doing this for WAF, and one of the reasons I'm really grateful Joe brought this out, is I got to listen to that Comrade episode about it. And I felt like I grew in my critical eye.
Yeah.
Since there are people who are probably just like, oh, now you're a cynical dickhead. Like, you just don't like anything now. And that's what they mean by it. But to me, I was like, there are a lot more problems in this that I did not have the words for.
Yeah.
When I first did this, that now I can articulate. And that made me feel kind of good for a moment. So it accomplished that, for lack of anything else.
Yeah. It's just, I don't know, man. Coherence is necessary. And I think that, coherence is necessary would be the thing that ultimately I come away from this with,
Yeah. Like trying to make something about everything and having, we say this all the time, but like, it's not wisdom to just point out the flaws in every aspect of an argument.
Yeah.
It can feel like wisdom. It has the cadence of wisdom, but it's not actually brave or cool to just say like, actually here, I've pointed out the flaws in every aspect of this complex part of life. Yeah. There's no right way to do it. Everybody who espouses an angle on it sucks. And everything's a nightmare. Like that is not actually particularly good.
Being prescriptive and being positive are not the same thing. And conflating the two of them and saying, and even implying that is the case is actually like crazy cynical. When I say positive, I don't mean like, big smiles, thumbs up, everything's happy. I mean like, what is your, like, what are you positing as like the way things ought to be? Right. Like, there is the negative
argument.
Yeah. Like, yeah. Well, like, what is your argument here? How should things be? It is not cowardice to take a position. Right. And it is not, I think good for the world if you say that, any position that you take, amidst any of this is it is an inherently like, is a vice. Right.
Yeah. Well, it's good to have a position, and you can do a work where it's just exploring how fucked up and bad something is.
Yeah.
That is where the focus is more required, though, I think. Like, if this game just wanted to underline, I would play a game that was just about the shitty relationship between fans and how they think they own a work and try to insinuate themselves into creators' lives. Yeah. It wouldn't have to posit a solution for that.
No, I mean, but if you want that, the beginner's guide, dude.
The beginner, totally. Yeah, absolutely. Like the beginner's guide does it, and it succeeds because it does one thing. Yeah. You can do this kind of like cynical takedown of an aspect of life or games or, fiction or creativity or whatever.
Yeah.
But you can't do it above every aspect.
Yeah.
And it's you either need to have, present all of these different extremes and present an alternative, or present one of these different kind of extremes and really fully explore it.
Yeah.
Instead, we just get all this nonsense about like, fatherhood and infertility and the act of creation as a surrogate, a surrogate substitution for like childhood and fatherhood.
Yeah, which itself is undercut in a commentary that you find where the creator threatens to kill himself because the dichotomy that is introduced is recognized as being false, or the correlation between creating a video game and creating an heir is revealed to be false.
He realizes it's dumb, and you get back into that characters like criticizing the plot that they're in.
Yeah,
shit, and it's also about like ludo narrative debates and everything, and it does not hold.
Yeah.
Like this just like does not stick together. Really disappointing for something that again really seems like it should be awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And like I love the messy puzzle solving. Like that's good.
Yeah.
I wish there was more of it,
I wish there was a lot more of it, and I wish it went by a little smoother.
Yeah.
But it is, there are things to like about this game. Like it's a weird thing where I kind of think this is worth playing. Not worth playing twice.
It's so little investment. I mean, I played this twice, and my combined play clock was like 10 hours, and I was taking notes the second time. So, yeah.
But it's not worth a revisit, really. Like this is not. There's a reason. When Joe was like, I never hear anybody talk about this. I feel like there's kind of a reason.
Yeah,
and that's why
we got a bit of a shelf life. Once you crack the seal open on it.
Yep.
Yeah.
So, next episode. So if you have anything to say about the Magic Circle, or Trauma Center, Second Opinion, or our next episode, Shadow of Mordor.
There we go.
Middle Earth. So what?
No, I said there we go. You got it out.
Okay, yeah, I got it. It's hard because they name their games very similar things.
They did.
You hit us up by March 15th. The next episode is premium, which means everybody gets the generality. And if you are a patron at $5, you get the full episode and all of the back episodes.
Yes. So you can go to patreon.com/Duckfeed.tv and get access to all of those. It's even at $5, you get extra shows. You get Bonfire Side Chat, the show that we do about the Souls series and related works. You get Unfilmable, our show about horror media, which is good. We like it. It's good.
Yeah. We just went through Tim and Eric's bedtime stories, which we referenced a couple times in this. We're covering the Boots Riley film Sorry to Bother You after that, and we have other cool things planned.
Yes.
So check that out.
Yeah.
You can also leave ratings and reviews on Apple Podcast or Podcast Addict, anywhere that podcasts are found. And we mentioned it earlier, the newest show on the network, Orb, is an episode-by-episode guide of the Venture Brothers. Check that out.
Please
if you
do.
like the Brothers Venture.
Yeah, it's at orb.show. If you played the Magic Circle and thought, I liked that Ish, the voice actor on the Ish guy, the voice of the main character of the Venture Brothers, Dr. Rusty Venture. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's good.
Command performance. So until next time, what should they watch out for, Cole?
They should watch out for ludonarrative incoherence.